really, if you want to build any business, it's about networking, building relationships, helping out as many people as you can, being visible, on social media, off social media, at the events. You want to be where the people are that you're trying to attract.
Hello, I'm John Brink and we are podcasting on the Brink from downtown Prince George, British Columbia. And for those guests watching us from around the world, Prince George is about 800 kilometers north of Vancouver. It's the center of British Columbia. It's an amazing, amazing country, lots of wildlife, lots of timber and trees, and it's an amazing place. British Columbia, again, is a big province. Prince George is in the exact center of British Columbia, and I've been here for about 60 years, an amazing place. Today we have a very, very interesting guest. Her name is Melissa Barlock. Did I say it correctly?
Barlock. Melissa Barlock.
Barlock. Melissa yes. Barlock. Melissa, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So I looked at your podcast. You're an entrepreneur, you are an author, you're a speaker, you're a very active individual. And so tell us first, and I believe you are also in Canada. So tell us a little bit about where you are located and of your background and where you are today.
Sure. Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. It's an honor. You've got some great content and some great speakers on your podcast. So great job for everything that you do. So I'm a Canadian. I am also in Canada, but on the other side of Canada, not on the complete other side, but I'm just outside of Toronto, Ontario. So very different landscape to British Columbia. British Columbia is gorgeous, and I would move there except for the rain.
Right.
So I just live outside of Toronto with my two kids. I've got a 14 and 16-year-old. They are the loves of my life, and so I'm a proud mother first and foremost. So that's first. And yes, I'm an entrepreneur. I do a lot of different things. I like to be active. I like to connect people. I like to help people. And so my primary main business is, it's called Inspire Dental Opportunities. And it is a dental recruitment company, so talent acquisition. So my clients are dentists all across Canada who are looking for staff. So we basically match them with who they're looking for within the dental space. So dental assistants, hygienists, treatment coordinators, and dentists as well. So in addition to that, I do a lot of speaking because there's a big gap in the dental space between the technical and the relational side. And so my business has kind of morphed from, the recruitment side. We have that as our core, but a lot of companies are recognizing, and a lot of like dental companies, a lot of dental supply companies are also wanting to add value to their clients and teach them about the business side of dentistry. And a lot of dentists, because they go through the technical skills training in school, they don't necessarily learn the business management side or the human resource side. And so I teach them on how to attract, retain, and engage talent. And so I do a lot of seminars and trainings around that. And because there's such demand for this type of information, I decided to write two books, co-authored two books with my VP of Operations, Phoebe Trotman. And we basically put all of our knowledge into these books so that we could add value to our clients. So that's a little bit of what I do.
So the titles of the books are, the first one is titled...
So they're both The Dental Edge. I don't know if you want me to show them, but...
Yeah, I want you to show them, yeah.
Oh,
the
okay,
Dental
so the Dental
Edge, because we're going to be talking about...
Edge.
Yeah.
And then this one is also the Dental Edge, but the difference is the white one is for how to stand out and create a thriving career you love. So that's for the dental professional who is seeking out a career. They're new to dental, or they want to change careers, or they want to up level. That's for the dental professional looking for a thriving career. This one is attract, engage, and retain top talent. That's for the dental practice owner, hiring manager, or office manager looking to attract and retain staff. And so there's key elements in here on how to do that for them. So it's basically all the presentations that I've done over the last 5 years in the dental space, all of the trainings, everything that I teach in those books.
So, you are not a dentist, are you?
No.
No. So what?
Yeah, no.
Why then the niche? Because it sounds to me like you have this amazing skill set to be knowledgeable, entrepreneurial, to be specialized in a field and recognize opportunity or difficulty, how to resolve it. So, and then you're an author as well, but I see a lot of it dental related. Doesn't it apply to everything else that it could well be a doc, it could well be Joe Blow that runs a lumber company like I run a lumber company. Yeah. So,
yeah.
What attracted you other than the obvious to the dental profession?
So great question. I get asked that all the time. And I'm gonna backtrack a bit. You're right. With these books, everybody who has read the book, either book, they say, wow, this is actually for any profession. Like the skills that we teach and the practices that we teach in the book, you're right. It's not industry, it doesn't have to be industry specific, but the examples within the book, and there's certain things that are niche to dental, but for the most part, it can apply to any business. All the principles remain the same and they're all transferable. So yes to that, you're absolutely right. So why dental? Considering I have no dental background, I'm not a dentist or a hygienist. I knew nothing about dental except for the fact that I loved going to the dentist and having nice teeth. So that was the extent of
it hurts. It hurts.
What
it's
hurt?
painful.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm just joking.
That's why you got to take care of your teeth. Take care of your teeth right from the beginning.
I do.
So, so John, it was a great question because when I incorporated my company 5 years ago, I was going through a difficult time in my life.
Sure.
And I was in a different profession. I was an affiliate with a company in the United States where I was building teams of actually thousands of people globally. And I had all kinds of clients from realtors, mortgage brokers, financial advisors, and dentists.
Yeah.
And so this is the connection. So I'll tell you a quick story. So through my other company, I was building this and doing quite well. I was quite successful, had some personal interruptions, and ended up realizing that I needed plan B.
Yeah.
And so my plan B was to be able to maintain my life with my kids and still maintain that financial security. So I thought, okay, well, what can I do? What are my options? And this particular dentist that was a client of mine in my previous career in business, he had asked me to work for him months before this separation. I'll just tell you, I separated from my ex.
Sure.
And everything's happy now. Everything's good. It was a few years of trepidation. But so what happened was he was asking me to work for him and help recruit for his dental offices. And at the time he had a couple offices, I think 3 or 4. Wow. And he had big plans to grow to a large organization. So he asked me to help him recruit because he saw what I was doing within my business. And so at the time I said, no, I'm not interested. I'm really busy right now. I've got 2 small kids. I'm running my business. And so when this event happened in my life, I realized that I needed that plan B. So I went back to him and basically said, listen, I'll help you, but I need to open up my own company. I'm not employee material. So I'll help you do recruiting and help with some business development, but this is my proposition. And he said, yes, absolutely. So I helped him grow from those few offices. And I believe he's got over 25 offices, close to 30 dental practices in 3 provinces now. And so from there, I started getting a lot of people reaching out to me wanting me to help with them in their other dental practices. And I recognized very quickly that I needed my own team if I wanted to grow. So I hired a couple other recruiters. I hired, bookkeeper, admin. So I needed, so that I could grow and actually help service all these clients. And so 5 years later, I now have this nationwide company that specifically helps to recruit dental professionals for the dental practice owner.
And then you a speaker and do keynotes and other things, I presume, again on the issue of dental opportunities or entrepreneurship relating to dentists, or does it go, as it should, in my mind at least, go beyond that?
It goes beyond that.
Okay.
So I recognized when I started building the company, I realized that I needed to fill my funnel of dental professionals. I needed to get out there and network. And in my previous career, I basically took all the skills that I acquired, over the last, 20 years of me being in business and building businesses, and brought those same skills over into dental. And really, if you want to build any business, it's about networking, building relationships, helping out as many people as you can, being visible, on social media, off social media, at the events. You want to be where the people are that you're trying to attract. And I also recognize that in order to fill the funnel, so to speak, of dental candidates, I went into the dental colleges, the universities, the hygiene colleges, dental assistant colleges, the dental universities, and I would do lunch and learns for the students. And I would do presentations. And I would talk maybe 4 or 5 minutes on, here I am, I'm the owner of Inspire Dental Opportunities. This is what we do. When you're ready for a job, come to us, we'll help you out. But I wanted to add value to them. And I wanted to be able to help them on the soft skills of dentistry. Because when you add value to people, it's going to help them in their careers. And I love to do that. I love it when somebody comes to me and says, that thing that you said, or the thing that you talk, or I watched one of your videos, or I was at one of your events and it helped me so much. That drives me. It's not about the money. It's about helping people. And so through that, I started teaching these dental professionals on, core values, learning what your core values are in order to partner with the right office. Benefits of working in rural areas versus urban areas, learning the dynamics of the relational part of business in dentistry, and really anything. So I took all the skills that I used to teach in my previous careers, brought them into the dental space, and realized that there was a thirst for that knowledge because nobody was really teaching it. In dental school, they teach you the technical skills. And I can't teach you the technical skills, but I can teach you the soft skills of how to be the best version of you, whether you're a dental professional or you're a dental practice owner trying to attract those professionals. And so I teach on the soft skills, and there's a whole array of things. And what I realized was, because there's such a gap and not many people were doing it, a lot of the program coordinators, they'd call me back and say, like, wow, that was fantastic. We've never had a presentation like that before. Typically people come in and they promote themselves or promote their business, and you added such value that we want you back. And so I kept getting phone calls back from program coordinators, and then people talk to other coordinators and they invite me out. And now I've had dental supply companies fly me out to their branches to teach dental professionals on the soft skills of dentistry. So it kind of morphed into something bigger than I really thought it was. It's natural for me to want to teach and help people. And I think it's been beneficial for my clients and the dental professionals.
So a couple observations that I make is that you're still relatively young. I'm not trying to be smart about it, but you are. And that in order to be successful in what you're doing you must have the foundation that is critical. They don't teach you that in schools, no matter what you pursue. And you're a very good communicator. And so and laying the foundation. It's all about experience that you have and had that give you the ability to see opportunity that go directly to a skill set that is unique to some people and not others. Like what I specialize in is that I believe a number of things that looking forward, I look at the future as to where the future will be, and I'm very good at it. That is what made me successful in business. I was not a success story academically. I grew up in Holland. I failed grade 3 and I failed grade 7 3 times. And then I'm 83. I just had a birthday 2 weeks ago. So I'm, I say I'm 83 years young. I want to go to 120 actually, and so I grew up in northeastern Holland, born in 1940, November the 1st, and during the war years, the war was a challenge, as all wars are, and I speak about it quite frequently, especially to young people around November the 11th. I feel since I was there right up to my age of 5. And I shared it with young people in particular, so I believe I have an obligation to do that, to share with them why 2 minutes silence is so important and why it is, and how fortunate we are collectively that we live in Canada. And then the other thing that I share with them, I usually speak to about 4 schools, and in the week of the 11th, and that the role that Canadians played in the world, this sometimes not well understood, and to me that is important. And so I failed that, and then they said my parents were beautiful people, and then they recommended I be sent to a school of the mentally challenged. Well, fortunately they didn't do that. Or should we get him a trade? And I liked lumber, and my grandfather was a master carpenter, and my dad worked in the lumber industry, so they sent me to a furniture factory. And so at 14 I became a furniture worker, and then in the evenings I would develop the skill sets of becoming a furniture maker. And that was good. I enjoyed that, and the things that happen sometimes, kids among themselves are sometimes difficult to because all of a sudden all my friends that had gone to school with me now proceeded to college and on to university, and I was a laborer. I'm proud of that now, but then it was a little bit difficult, and I kind of felt I had failed, although I was very optimistic and always go, and so I had a dream that we were liberated by the Canadian Army April the 12th, 1945, and I always knew from that point forward I would go to the land of my heroes. And so I wanted to go when I was 17, and they wouldn't let me, and I was then drafted into the to the Dutch Air Force for 30 months, and Special Forces, actually, I don't know why, but anyway, that's where I ended up. Good background, and then after that I became fairly successful already working in the forest industry in particular, but I still felt I had failed, and I felt I had to start over again to prove to me that I could do it. And so I left Holland, applied for immigration status, and got my okay to become a landed immigrant in Canada in July of 1964, July 1965, and took 1 suitcase, 3 books, 2 sets of clothes, couldn't speak the language, didn't know a soul, didn't have a job. And I knew I wanted to go build a lumber mill. That was my second dream, But I wanted to start with nothing. So I left Holland, Amsterdam with $150, landed in Montreal at the airport, took the train across Canada. My God, that takes a long time. 4 days, 5 nights, and sometimes
Yeah,
I
it
wanted
is
to walk
big.
out. So I arrived in Vancouver, went to the immigration office. Fortunately, there was a German fellow there, and I could speak some German, and so I told him what I wanted to do. He said, Prince George, that's where you have to go. It's a boom town, that's where they're building forest companies, and that's where the future is. So when I came to Prince George, and that's where we are today, and looking around here, it's a beautiful, beautiful area. A little bit of snow, the first snow of the year, actually, amazingly. So about 3 blocks away from here was the Greyhound station. I came off the bus here with my suitcase and my 3 books and my 2 sets of clothes. I had a suit on, gray pants, double-breasted jacket, white shirt, tie, and a raincoat. And I had in my pocket $25.47. And my employees gave this to me, actually. But what I did have is attitude. I'm a positive thinker. I will avoid the negative. If it is a difficult day today, I'll swear it's a good day tomorrow. I have passion. Whatever I do, I give it all that I got. I still do that today. I did that then. And then work ethic, I work harder than anybody. And so, so that's what happened. And then started from the ground up and clean up man, lumber pilot, and fairly quickly I was a superintendent. And then within a year and a half, I was an entrepreneur, bought a part of a little mill, and bought a motel of all places in Watson Lake, Yukon.
Oh my gosh.
Have you ever been there?
No.
It's beautiful, but in Watson Lake, it snows in July, and you don't know if it is late or early, one of those places. I was there for 5 years, and then from there and then, I left there and then built my company, the Brink Group of Companies, in 1975, and there is a lot in between that happened. So what I did, as you did, is a lot of people said to me, you need to write a book about all of this, and so I thought about it for 20 years, and I stopped. Writing books is not easy, as you well know, I'm sure. And then I knew about 5 years ago, if I don't do it now, it will never happen. So I wrote this book, Against All Odds. And
Love the title.
It's not about how successful John is. It's about all the ups and downs along the way. And it's not for making a small fortune. Well, probably that would work, small fortune. But share with others that say, well, I can't do it, and this is not possible, and that if I can do it, anybody can do it. Just give it all that you got, work hard, and success will follow. So I did that, and so this one has been quite successful. And then, so the other part that I did is that something that changed my life is that I still felt that I had failed. Even with all the things that I already had done here. I had a lumber company and a number of other things, and everybody said, oh, you're so successful. And I kind of felt I had failed. I still had not succeeded in proving to myself that I could do it. And then something that helped change my life was that the other thing that I was not very good at, Melissa, you can relate to this likely as it applies to me, is that I was not very good interacting with other people. I could do it in my own setting, but soon as it was outside of that, I had difficulty interacting because I was very self-conscious about the things that I had done or not done or succeeded, not succeeded. And so through circumstances, my ex-sister-in-law dragged me to an organization called Toastmasters.
I know it.
and so I went to Toastmasters. I said, what are you doing there? She said, well, you just come and you sit there and you listen. I said, nobody's going to ask me anything, right? No, nobody's going to ask you. You just sit there. And then halfway through the meeting, He said, and
Yes.
so John, so, and I said, oh, I'll never go back here. I did go back. I stayed there for 10 years. I reached the highest level in Toastmasters, becoming a distinguished Toastmaster. And today I'm
Congratulations.
obviously a keynote speaker and in-demand speaker for all the same reasons as you indicated. And so, and that for those that are listening and saying, what is Toastmasters all about that they made such a difference in his life? Well, Toastmasters is in particular around North America, but it's global. There are clubs that likely are in the people that are watching us in your communities. And what it is all about, not so much about people think that it is about speaking. It is to a certain extent, but it teaches you to become good listeners and to speaking impromptu on your feet and a lot of other things to it. And then when I did that between 1990 and 2000, it cost about $2 a week. It was the best education that I ever got. It changed my life. The other thing that changed my life, so there I gone to Canada, that changed my life. I became an entrepreneur, that changed my life. I went to Toastmasters, that at least gave me more confidence. And then one more thing that happened to me that was life-changing through circumstances is that in January of 1997, I was already here for 32 years, and I walked into this store, and for whatever reason, I picked up this book, Driven to Distraction, and I opened the book and it said ADHD, and I said, oh my God, that's me. And so I bought the book. I wrote in the book, I still have it, is now I finally know who I am in Dutch, because I know there was stigma attached to it, directly relating to mental challenges and all of that. It is now, many years later, I wrote a book about it, and I'll show you a copy of it, ADHD Unlocked. It was 1997 that I saw that book, Driven to Distraction, written by Dr. Halliwell, actually, who's going to be my guest here on podcast in about 2 weeks or so. And amazingly. So so then, the book became very, very important. And then it's not only for those that are affected by or have the benefit of ADHD. I call it a superpower. I could not have done what I've done, and I'm not saying hurrah, how successful John, but it became one of the keys to the other parts, and it allowed me then. It was 1997 that I saw the book. It took me 5 years before I went into my doc's office, who was a personal friend, and delivered our 2 daughters. That I walked into his office, and I was already 62, and he said, "Hey, John, why are you here?" I said, "I think I got ADHD," and so we kind of looked at it, and yeah, I do, So, the book, that came out about a year and a half ago, but I've been more vocal about it since that time, and I believe that, and so do many other people that have knowledge about it, that it was always thought that it would affect about 8% of the population, male, female. I believe it's more like 20% or better than that. And so
I would agree with that. Yeah.
I call it a superpower. I could not have done what I've been doing. That includes being a successful entrepreneur, have numerous companies, obviously am an author. Another book I'm quickly going to show you is that having that passion. There are so many people that don't like what they are doing. I said change, because it will affect your life and everybody around you. And so I felt I had to write a book about that. So the book is Finding Your Passion, Living the Dream. And that came out last year. And so I'm now into writing books and considering my academic background, or at least the recognized formal one. I learned a lot along the way that that I'm a good writer, and obviously I'm a successful entrepreneur. So, but I thought I shared those thoughts with you, and so that's where I am today.
Well, gosh, what a fantastic journey. So many points in there. But what's interesting is, like, I resonated with a lot of what you said, and obviously there's a little bit of an age difference, but I think that still we share a little bit of kindred spirit in so many things. I mean, and it makes me wonder whether, you said you became an entrepreneur, and I say that too, that I became an entrepreneur, but I suspect that I always was an entrepreneur. I
No
always thought
question.
a little bit different. Yeah, I always thought a little bit differently. And when you said that you felt like you were behind and everybody was getting into the careers, and I felt like that too. After college and university, I ended up moving to Japan because I wanted to travel. I wanted to experience the world, and it's like this feeling or this fire, this something inside of you that knows that there's more out there for you, and that you should be doing more to contribute. And to this day, I still have that feeling, and it sounds like you're driven by that same fire, we'll call it. And I moved to Japan, and I was teaching English there for a few years and traveled around Asia. And I'll tell you that my life experiences are so much more of an education than the actual education that I've received. And all these, I love that you wrote the book about all your, well, let's say, obstacles, because that's where the learning is, that's where the growth is. And I can completely relate with all the things in my life, and there's been a lot of ups and downs, and I wouldn't change it for anything, because it truly does lead you to where you are today. And I too, John, feel like, a lot of people say you're so successful and you've got this great business and you're speaking and you've got books, and yeah, I still feel like, to prove not to other people but to myself, that I can do more, I can do better. There's still that feeling of I haven't reached the pinnacle, and I suspect that maybe I never will feel like I will. I think that entrepreneurs are constantly growing. I think that individuals, we need something to grow and purpose to continue on. And I think that that's what keeps the motivation and the discipline and the inspiration really is moving towards something. Because if you're not moving towards something, you're stagnant, and that's moving backwards. And so
Exactly.
I genuinely feel that we all have this civic duty, no matter how big or small, to contribute to something, somebody, someone, your communities. It could be as small as, being nice to people. It could be as
Exactly.
small or as grandeur as having, running charities and massive organizations. It really does take everybody. Imagine that everybody had the mindset of wanting to help somebody else out, what the world would look like, right? And
Exactly.
realizing that they have that impact to do that.
Exactly.
Every one of us has an impact on somebody else. And
No
once we
question.
recognize that, I think that it changes perspective. And these are surprisingly things that I teach in my classes is
Yeah.
that even if you're not the owner or CEO of your company, act as if you are. Act as
Exactly.
if you own your
Own it.
destiny. You own your life. Own yourself. If you're an
Correct.
employee, act as if you're the CEO of the company that you're working for. And I
No.
promise you that
No
you
question.
will excel, and opportunities will present themselves in
Exactly.
places that you never imagined. And that
No.
self-fulfilling feeling that you get, and the confidence that it builds, is is better than anything. It start with self, and then
Exactly.
teach others to do the same. And that's
Yeah.
really, really what I stand by. It sounds
Yeah.
like you and I are very synergistic that way, it sounds
Yeah,
like.
the same, Melissa. That the challenges along the way that are in the book Against All Odds, and before that, the things in Europe, the Second World War. That our family, we grew up in northeastern Holland, in the province of Groningen. I don't know if you've been there, but Holland, you probably have been. No, you got to
I
go there.
haven't gone yet. I'm going to
Yeah,
say I haven't gone yet.
I know travel to you is very important. You got to go to Holland.
Very.
So in any event, I grew up about 15 minutes from the border. So in 1940, when the war started, my dad and my mom had 3 kids. I was born November the 1st. She was pregnant with me, and then my sister 1 year older, my brother 2 years older. My dad was drafted into the Dutch army in April of 1945, and the last they heard from him, he was caught in the bombing of Rotterdam, and thousands of people died. And then the war years were difficult and a challenge for everybody. And and what I remember still from it is that, when I was 3.5, 4 years old, with the bombers over, hundreds of bombers overhead, daytime, nighttime bombing. And we were within 15 minutes from the border with Germany, and then my mom would take us outside to a flat roof on the back of her house, not for the purposes of watching, but she felt safer outside than inside. And we could see in the distance the cities, again, think Germany, where it touches on the North Sea, was in very close proximity to us, so we could see the cities burning. And then the winter 1944-1945 were called the Hunger Winter. It was the coldest winter on record, and the Germans had cut off the food supply to those parts of Holland. And I remember the kids used to go with gunny sacks in the morning into the railroad yards, pick up anything burnable or edible. And the reason that we want is because the Germans would kick us, they wouldn't shoot us, and we'd be back the next morning. And and that's what we did. And I still can feel, even now still, all those years later, the feeling of hunger and the feeling of cold. We had this little room inside our house. There was a little stove. We were sitting around there, the 3 kids and my mom, and trying to survive, and and it was hot, and I can still feel the cold. And then the other part that always stayed with me is the anxiety of losing that parent, because there was only one of them, and everybody else were very good, but they had their own issues and their own problems. So, in fact, I got counseling for the inner child well into my 50s, and very emotional, so. But and so I was affected likely by PTSD and the inner child, on top of all the other things. So and then coming back to one of the things that you said earlier was with me too. I was born to be an entrepreneur. There's no question about that. I had the mindset with all the challenges that I had. I was a natural optimist. No matter what anybody else, I lived in a world of my own, and that was very progressive, looking forward. Already at a very early age, I distributed newspapers, I collected bottles, and all of that when I was very, very young. I always had money at this, and so that's what I did. And but then it took me a long time before I really felt that I was as good as everybody else, So it took me probably till the time that I was 62, and I could look back and say, John, you have done okay, so you're okay. And so even now, the books is not for the purpose of making a lot of money, but sharing with others, to me, much more important. And then in the presentation, I love to speak to young people in particular, but of all ages, and saying that a lot of people, they feel they're just not good enough. They either don't look good enough, they don't have the right clothes. And I say, become at peace with who you are. Every single individual is special. There is no one else other than you in this world, and you have these qualities, and believe in it. And and then this one, attitude, passion, work ethic, and some people say, they have to kind of say, well, the reason that you're successful because you were lucky, blah, blah, blah. I said, the harder you work, the luckier you get, right? So that's how it kind of works, if that's what you want to do.
That
So,
I agree with. Yes.
so
Yes.
to me, what is important is those are the things that are important. So we have the similarities. I just want to come back to some of the other things that you. So that what I liked about what you are doing is that I do the same in a way. I'm a visionary. That's what I do, and I speak to people in business, and obviously, I love podcasting because even at 83 and being a late bloomer, really, I still have friends of my age that don't even do emails. Well, I'm very proactive in all the technology. I try to stay up to date, and obviously Debbie is speaking virtual. I podcast people from around the world, and I love to do it. And I never quite know what will happen, but all the time it has been, very, very good, very, very rewarding, and it is one of the things that is becoming increasingly more popular, and it gives us the ability to interact with others. That opportunity is not there as much now because we do it a lot on Facebook or through the
Yeah.
media, and but I still like to do. I'm writing another book I was going to mention to you, and that's an interesting book because the title of the book is Living Young, Dying Old. And the reason for the book is that it's not about age and saying, hey, John, yeah, you look good, you're 83, blah, blah, blah. It's about quality of life. That's what it is about. So, and then everything is possible. So what I do is everybody gets a shock that kind of puts them into reality. I nearly died of diverticulitis when I was 58, and so that gave me a shock. Where they removed a section of my colon, and and it can be very dangerous. And I came that close, and so after that, I thought I should take a couple of things more serious. I should stay physically in shape and diet. My wife is very dedicated. She is vegan and trying to get me on the way, and so that gave me the trigger. So now I'm probably 80-20, and and then I go to the gym, and even to the extent that after 2009 I started working. I got a trainer and started going to the gym every day, and then after doing that for about 6-7 years, somebody said to me, have you ever thought about competing? And I said, me? Yeah, and say, well, sure. And I said, well, why not? So I started getting ready for competing, and in 2017 and 2018, I competed in northern BC, qualified, became in second bodybuilding, third in physique. That qualified me for the provincials, came in third in bodybuilding, second in physique. That qualified me for the nationals and the Arnolds. And then
Wow.
so now again I'm training because
You said yes.
yeah,
You
I
said
want to
yes
go
to
to the Arnolds, and so it makes me virtually the oldest competitive bodybuilder in North America.
Wow, what a story.
But the other part, even more important, is that, and I say that to others, and that's why the book Living Young, Dying Old, is that you don't have to become an Olympian. You don't have to become, a bodybuilder of national or whatever level. Exercise at least a half an hour a day. It will change your life. The other thing, be conscientious about your diet. Amazingly, you find this interesting, is we have a place in North Saanich by Victoria. So on the weekends, I'm usually there, and then I do all the shopping, even for my wife that is vegan. And what I do is I stay in a store on the outside, not on the inside.
Oh yeah.
And most of the stuff that I buy is, all healthy.
Fresh. Cool. Yeah.
And so those are the things that the book is about: lifestyle, being more progressive likely in things that we do, the medical system in a way the same as the dental likely is, is not very innovative in terms of being proactive, and it becomes then a question. There are major problems in the medical system throughout Canada, North America, and not enough docs, not enough nurses. And I believe, and this comes to what your specialty is in a way, is a lot of times is because of organization. And and correct me if I'm wrong, is that I know a lot of dental people that are friends of mine that I've known for a long time. I spent a lot of time in the dental chair myself because dental health is extremely important in somebody's life. But Dave, the one of the problems there is in those particular type of professions is that if you're selling your skill sets by the hour, then it becomes difficult to become entrepreneurial unless you remove yourself from the model and say, no, you have the skill sets. So that then being said, how can you then create this new model that is totally different from what we are used to? And that already, from the little that I know about my friends that have created other entities much larger than rather my other friend, the dental guy, got the school, then became a dentist in this town, and that's all he's doing. And he's frustrated because he could have done more. I should have become an entrepreneur. I said, you can do both. And that's kind of what you unlocked, in my opinion. And you showed them the way, and all of a sudden that light goes on and saying, I never really thought about that. And those opportunities, and that's why I made the comment earlier, that I like what you're doing, but why only that? Because it applies to all those professions where they are selling skill sets they learned by the hour. That doesn't make everybody necessarily an entrepreneur, but the opportunity is there if you so desire to
100%.
change your business model.
Yeah, they're trading time for dollars, and that doesn't that leads to burnout. And if you want to be truly financially free, that's not the way to do it. And that's where within the dental space, there's a growing trend called DSO, so dental service organizations, where one dental practice owner will own multiple dental practices. So there, a lot of my, I've got a diverse group of clients. Some of my clients are dentists who own one or two practices, but I also have clients who are DSOs where there's 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, several hundred dental practices that, that all require the same thing. They all need staff. And so what's happening is that a lot of these dentists who graduate, they are taught the skill set of dentistry. They're fantastic technicians, but they're not taught about business. And a lot of them aren't necessarily entrepreneurial. They haven't been taught. They haven't been around that. They kind of their learning is very focused and detailed, which it has to be. You want that in a good dentist. But when you're out of school and you want to have your own practice, you realize like, oh my gosh, now I have this team. Now I've got to hire. Now I've got to worry about financials, marketing, and it's completely overwhelming, which is understandable. And that's why these DSOs are coming in and buying up these smaller practices, seeing that there's that gap there. And unfortunately, some of the dentists are like, it's too much of a headache, and they sell their practices off. But now the universities are starting to recognize that there is a huge gap when it comes to the business of dentistry. And that's where I come in. I've actually been asked by some of the dental universities. One of them recently was the Schulich School of Dentistry and Medicine. They asked me to do a talk to their executive education program. And I was just teaching the soft skills of dentistry because it's all new to them. Whereas with you and I, it's almost innate. And I never used to place value on what I taught because it was so common sense to me. and innate because my whole life has been entrepreneurial. I've always kind of been fending for myself from a very young age. I've worked and I've always looked at creative ways to make money. And I'm always putting myself out there, and I am more comfortable being uncomfortable, which is an interesting thing. When things get too comfortable, I get kind of squirrely. I need more challenges, and so a lot of people don't live that way. And so that's where my business comes in, and I saw that there was a huge need where I can help those who need those skill sets.
I had the same background as you. I feel the same as you do. A successful business is I bring it to the point of being boringly consistent. The only problem is then it becomes boring for me. It has to be a challenge. So what I'm hearing is this, correct me if I'm wrong, and I can talk to you for another 2 hours, or with you for another 2 hours at least. Yeah. So, but that I think the same philosophy that you have built underneath the dental profession applies to a lot of other professions. I think about
Yes.
lawyers. I think
Yes.
about docs. They are a lot of times very frustrated in the system. The system doesn't work. That is one of the problems that we have, and the lack of docs and to you do what
Pharmacy,
I do.
veterinarian,
All of that.
chiropractic,
All of
all of
that.
those practices, they all have the same issue. Like I have a lot of friends in those industry who, they've purchased my book and they're like, Melissa, this is gold for us. So most likely, we'll be rebranding and tweaking some things and then renaming it for small business because it applies to everything. And you're right. The thing is I like to be niche specific because if you're everything, then you're nothing.
Yeah,
Right? Like
I agree
we
with
are
that.
really focused on dental because we're really good at it. And so build it up so that you're so good that it's running itself essentially.
So podcast has become an amazing platform that will increasingly become more active. It's just on the beginning. I intend to start a platform individually around it as well. I'm raising my profile, and so if you look at my books, this one in particular, Against All Odds, I'm going to send you copies of this book and I'm going to sign them. They will go out today or no later than Monday. You will have them. If you look at this book,
I look forward to it. I'll do the same. I would
Okay.
love your feedback, thoughts on mine.
So what you see here is John Brink, very small. And I said, no, I'm going to have to make that bigger because I'm raising my personal profile, John A. Brink. So we make it bigger and being more active. And so it's not for the purpose of making millions. I'm doing fine in my businesses and I have lots of stuff going on, but I love what I'm doing on the podcasting side, the public relations, the speaking engagements that I have all over the place, and it deals with entrepreneurship and my personal MBA that I learned from the hard way, and it's unique to me, and that's how I built successful businesses, and it's based on the fundamentals of attitude, passion, work ethic, and the sky is the limit. And then I'm blessed with ADHD, which is a superpower. I can do a lot of things all at the same time. And I preach that around the world, and I talk to virtually on a daily basis. I interact with people that I sent a fellow, he told me he had challenges with his son of about 15 that they believed they had ADHD. I sent him a copy of my book and they read it together. And I thought, oh my God, that's, and then I look at myself, that until I was 62 years old, I kind of still felt that I had been a failure. And it's only then that I determined I'm okay. I'm not special, but at least I'm okay. And
Yep.
and that should not happen for that duration of time. And if I can help at least some people in recognizing these things and saying, okay, first and foremost, I have to reconcile that I'm okay. And I don't have to be, each one of us individually is special. and the sky is the limit, and the opportunities are out there if we want to go and pursue them.
Agreed. Agree.
Melissa, it was a pleasure and a privilege, and I will sign the books and send them to you, and let's make sure we stay in touch.
I would love that. It was a wonderful conversation, and I'd love to do that again. Thanks, John.
Okay, thanks, Melissa. Take care.